Interjection here, Nation of Warriors 1v1 commentary number 10. Where have I been? That's a long story. Now, a long story short, I basically decided it was probably a good idea for me to just stop playing games in general, not just Age of Empires 3. Now, I'll never really stop enjoying Age of Empires. It's one of my favourite games and probably always will be. I just decided to sign on today, and this is my first game that I've played back in a very long time. Obviously, it's a quick search game. I'm playing Spanish because Spanish is something I'm comfortable doing. On my first game back, I don't want to jump into something totally elaborate and just do something completely different that I'm not familiar with. So I just wanted to do something where I kind of knew what I was doing. I'm going to just turn the video down so I don't get distracted by these settlers making noises. Anyway, that is where I've been, just not playing games and therefore not making videos. I am still a member of Nation of Warriors. I will never leave Nation of Warriors. But Nation of Warriors is no longer an Age of Empires 3 clan entirely. We also play other games. It's okay to play other games sometimes. But we are now actually mainly a Guild Wars 2 clan. So if you play Age of Empires and Guild Wars 2 or interested in getting Guild Wars 2, you're welcome to join this clan. Anyway, this is a commentary on Age of Empires. So I'm going to start commentating or analysing, or whatever you want to call it, this game here. Basically, collect all them food crates up quickly, get that first settler in production. You've probably heard that one a million times. Anyway, and then because it's, was it fucking Carolina, that's the one, you start with more crates than you would normally, similar to Deccan, I suppose, on the Asian dynasties. Anyway, that means I have enough wood to think about building a trade post in Age 1. Now, to be honest, if I'd realised this sooner, I mean, this is my first game back, so I was just playing, and then I thought, oh, I have 300 wood, can build a trading post. Obviously, that then leaves me only 50 wood, and without a house. So I will need to collect an extra 50 wood for that house. Obviously, I've placed the house foundation before my trading post foundation, but I want the house in first so that I can support my settler production. And also, I can lie and say I wanted the house because it gives me 10 XP, and when it's built, that 10 XP goes on my shipment, and I get my 3 settlers sooner. That wasn't actually the intention, although, sorry, I have a cold, so my voice might sound a bit nasal. But if the settlers come sooner, that does help. Anyway, I got exactly the extra 50 wood I needed, and I'm building that trading post. That is the idea there. And then I can start to accumulate XP and therefore shipments to make my Fortress Age more powerful. Obviously, the more XP I get now, the more shipments I can combo out when I hit Age 3. If I can send like 2 shipments, one after the other, then that makes my fortress very powerful. I think it sends it takes 30 seconds for a shipment to send. Don't quote me, I might be wrong, but basically after, say I can stack up 2 shipments or even 3 possibly, then after those 3 shipments arrive, my fortress would be at peak power in comparison to what my opponent's ability to counter it will be. Because obviously at the same time as those shipments arriving, I will also be sending or training my own units as well. Anyway, I'm playing against a German, not by nationality. He is playing the German civilization. I don't know where he's from. I didn't ask him, although the game wasn't that pingy, so possibly Europe. I have no. We're not gonna anyway. Here, aging up right now. Had my click on the age up button, and then and double clicking or whatever you want, constantly clicking on the one I want to choose. I chose the tower, the outpost wagon, and 200 coin because I have a 100 coin kind of crate just sitting there. I do apologise again, and obviously the 200 coin from my oh god, oh, I do apologise. Yeah, the 200 coin from my tower will stack with that 100 coin, give me 300 coin in total, and then that means I only need 700 more coin. Oh, what do you know? There's a 700 coin shipment in Age 2, and I want to send that as soon as I hit Age 2. Like the moment I'm halfway through Age 2 now. When I get all the way there, the first thing you'll see me do is click on my my home city and get that 700 coin. And you've probably heard that one a million times as well, if you've watched any of my other videos, that is. Why have I made a video today then? Just another off-topic kind of comment. Don't know, I literally was just thinking, wow, I miss Age of Empires, and I just decided to come on, have a game. Probably shouldn't have done, because I'm trying to not play games, but, you know, just the one, can't hurt, can I? Anyway, I decided to record it, and here we are, I'm commentating it. Now, it's not a very spectacular game, I won't lie. I'm not going to say who wins, or actually, that's kind of obvious now I've said that. I lose, I do lose, expect me to lose, but that it was an interesting game, and but normally I'd never upload something like this. Like when I used to make videos, I'd always find a good game to upload, because these kind of ones It doesn't really show me doing anything very well. Everything's extremely sloppy, which I'm going to blame on me not playing. Like, my micro is horrific, and perhaps if I had been able to, if I'd been more familiar with the game, then I think the outcome would have been a lot different, because I was ahead for a long period of time. Anyway, that 700 coin shipment is skewed. It's halfway round now, and obviously that's going to stack with my my other 300 coin that I have. Obviously that 200 of it is sitting on the floor right there, but I can collect that up soon and be ready to age up. I went to age... I've got 2 settlers in queue here, because I aged up to age 3, I think with 15 settlers. I've trained 116, no, I aged up with 14 settlers, because I've got, I trained 1, so therefore 15, and that's the 16th one in queue there, and that'll be created. Oh no, 17 now. Okay, I was wrong. So yeah, I aged up with 15 settlers to age 2, and I trained 2 in colonial. Often I can train 3, but ideally, you only train 3 if you're not quite there with the resources, and as you can see here, I have all the resources I need to get to age 3, so there's no need to, obviously training another settler would have taken me 25 seconds, and that would have delayed my age up by quite a lot. And obviously I don't need to delay it, because I had the resources there, and obviously it's Carolina, my opponent has more resources, so he's going to be able to execute his strategy faster, and ideally I want to be able to be in the fortress age sooner to defend it. I also had the 700 wood shipment in queue. Here it is, it's just arrived. And you've probably heard this one a million times before as well, but so you fight 700 wood, you 500 of which is a house, and the other 200 is a military building, usually a barracks, but there are some circumstances by which I would actually train a stable. Train a stable? Build one. Anyway, in this case I am building a stable, thinking about it now, and also during the game I thought, as soon as I pressed it and put it on the floor, I thought, should have gone barracks, but in the end it wasn't a bad thing. It probably would have been less risky had I actually scouted him, but yeah, that means sending a I don't know, my explorer, for example. Obviously it's dead now, I think, or some other unit. Not a settler, that's retarded. No, but a unit to walk through his base, walk past his trading post, look through his barracks, you know, that kind of thing. Find out what he's doing, look at what resources he is collecting, and you can kind of gauge, you know, if he's collecting food and exclusively food and wood without any coin, you can tell maybe it's crossbow pike, because they don't cost any coin, obviously, or if it's, you can tell that if it's very food heavy, it's going to be possibly more musketeer-y, janissary thing. Obviously he's playing German, so he can't train musketeers, and you know, coin and food mix might be cavalry. You just kind of look at it and maybe you can see, or better yet, you can just look at his barracks and see his army and work out, and then you know what to train to kind of counter it, or you can adapt to train different units if you're training the wrong ones. As you can see, I'm losing settlers, being shot by these crossbowmen, and I must admit he does a very good job of boxing me in. Perhaps this wasn't such a bad game to play. It shows me being a noob, basically, because I'm having to... Or perhaps not. Maybe he's just being really good. But what's happening here is you see these crossbowmen, they walk out, then they walk back in, and then they shoot one of my settlers, and then I'm like, fuck's sake, get them back in the tower so they don't die. And then he walks the crossbowman back in when I send them back out to work, and he's constantly keeping me off the food. Like, I'm even now, right now I'm collecting wood, because I've decided, instead of like constantly moving back and forth throughout the tower collecting nothing, I can just safely collect wood. I don't need wood, I don't want wood, but having wood is better than not collecting any resource at all. But now my first shipment has arrived, and well, obviously, yeah, and plus the bunch of lancers were trained at the stable, and now I have this army here. I am prepared to go and counter or attack him back, but I think he kind of realized how long he had. By that I mean he was attacking me, he was harassing my settlers with those crossbowmen, and he knew that my shipment would arrive 30 seconds after I aged up. So he harassed me maybe for a little bit, and then thought, right, I'm leaving now, before them lancers or whatever he's sending appear and just cause havoc, and then he leaves. That is a good thing to remember. I've done that before when I've been really on the ball, harassing someone, and then thinking, right, their shipment will be now, I'll leave. But in this particular game, I don't know if it was that. It could be. I could say it was, but it probably was him just thinking, right, I'm leaving, and just by coincidence left when my shipment arrived, which was the perfect time to leave. I guess we'll never know. Doesn't really matter. I took out all his crossbowmen there relatively easily with this massive lancers. But the risk now, I don't even understand. Like, I've got 5 hussars in as a shipment about to arrive. Really, I think that should be maybe like pikemen or something, and then I could send maybe the cannons, 2 falconets afterwards, or it could be falconets now, and I could use the rest of my units to protect, because like, he's bound to train. Like, I thought he was bound to train like Doppelsodners, fucking crazy swords fuckers with their thing, and they do, what is it, like 2.3 multiplier or something ridiculous with area damage, and it's just devastating even if you have lancers or not. It's just an insane amount of damage, and I was expecting that. So the cannons, which I'm sending now, are there for, you know, kind of protect that. But thinking logically, he does not have a barracks. So barracks, no, he has a stable. So he's in the Fortress Age. Like, he was harassing me, then aged up through the Fortress Age, I noticed, which is a good thing if you can. It's called a semi, because he could have trained more units and perhaps sieged me. Being German, I suppose that's difficult because you don't have musketeers. Obviously, you do have pikemen, however, you do have Doppelsodners, however. But I suppose sieging as German might be a bit, I don't know. He is a captain, this guy. Perhaps he was thinking, I'm not going to siege him because there's a high chance it'll just not work. And in the Spanish defense, you know, Minutemen, and my first shipment and my first batch of units might be able to clear his siege, and that would have not gone well for him. Instead, he chose to harass me, and with his crossbowmen, so that my fortress wouldn't be as powerful, and then he would go to fortress himself and use shipments. He had 2 trading posts. See, I've destroyed one here. Therefore, he'd have a decent amount of shipments to send as well, and just play the game and then overpower me that way, because he stop me economically. And to be honest, there is nothing special about the Spanish economy. It's absolutely balls. Here I'm just harassing his settlers to keep them off, although it's really not that much of a big deal, because I didn't really kill any and they got away. Anyway, he did have a bunch of skirms, which was a shipment, I do believe. I think he was probably expecting, I don't know what he was expecting, probably infantry if he was training skirmishes or shipping skirmishes. Or perhaps he thought I'd switch units, or perhaps he'd have, I don't know, some anti-cavalry to kill off my lancers. I don't know, it was very odd seeing he had skirmishes going, and I had like nothing but lancers and cavalry in production. I had those 5 cav, and I just felt like the 5 cav probably shouldn't have been there. If you're watching that, those falconets died just there. Yes, in the game I died a little bit inside too, don't worry, you're not the only one. It was horrible. I just thought, what a waste of a shipment. Dear God, interjection. Yeah, not a good time. Anyway, those falconets, I sent them. The aim of them was to obviously protect my future skirmishes from no, not really, not protecting. They were there to counter his Doppelsodners if he trained any, or his pikemen, which were there. I expected them because I had cavalry. Turns out he went war wagon because he had a barracks. No, he had a stable, sorry. He didn't have a barracks, he had a stable. Anyway, and also those cannons were there. I intended for them to kind of siege him. I was going to use them to kill off the stable. That way I prevent any war wagons from appearing, and I knew war wagons were going to be a pain in the ass because I'm training cavalry, or I only actually have a stable. And to be honest, only cavalry are going to appear, aren't they? So war wagons are going to just be a pain in the ass. There I destroyed his second trade post, because I felt sieging him with sieging him with dragoons and skirmishers, and well, I didn't have any skirmishers, dragoons and lancers. There we go. Oh, I have pikemen actually. I didn't have pikemen before though. I was taking out the first trading post. I just felt there was no need to I couldn't siege him with the units I had. It would just be a waste of units. If only I'd been thinking that a little bit later on as well, and I was attacking his fort. But we'll go back to that when the fort is actually there, and I can talk about the fort. But right now, this has gone to the point in the game where I'm just thinking, what do I do? Because there's, up until, I think what makes the difference between a lieutenant, and apparently I am now a first lieutenant, because my rank decayed. I was like, I think 0.2 off being a major, and I was certainly a captain, 28 captain, almost 29 major. Anyway, this isn't the point. Before I left, and that decayed, because if you don't play it a long time, it decays, I think, after 2 weeks or something like that. That just prevents high-level people, especially the people on the power rating ladder, from just staying there forever once they get a level 50 account and don't play any more games ever. Anyway, right now, as I was saying, I have no idea what I was doing. I was just playing the game as normal, and trying to work out. But the scores at the moment is 100. Hold on, I'll have a look at full screen. Yeah, 122 for me and 92 to him. So I'm clearly ahead by about 30 points, or exactly 30 points. So I know I've got an advantage, economically or military. In each 1 point corresponds to 100 resources worth of either me having them stockpiled, or having researched something equivalent to that, or having units on the field. So clearly I have 3,000 more resources than he does, which is a significant advantage, and I can expect to be able to have a bit more leverage over him. This battle here, I probably should have pursued, because he had a few skirmishes, not many, and I had dragoons, which were enough to kind of kill off his kind of war wagons, and my Rodolero would be able to go into combat with the skirms, and obviously they're quite fast moving, they're similar to cavalry in a way, and they can do a good job of taking out skirmishes. Obviously definitely not as much as other units, but since they move quite quickly, I wouldn't have mind sending him to combat with the skirmishes. Right there I was raided. I do apologise, I have a cold. Yeah, I was raided. That sucks. I'm gonna blame it. If everything was going perfectly, if I was, the best player there was, I suppose I could have built a tower there. Oh, apparently I've recorded myself during the game as well, if you have any comment. Anyway, this is where the fort's going up, and I'm thinking, right here, I do actually have this, decent amount of units to take on this. I'm using these two lancers to take out, you can see the left, to take out the skirmishes. I'm using them on the Rodolero there as well. I had my skirmishes targeting the war wagons, and I had my dragoons targeting his cavalry, and then after that they started killing the war wagons, and I think the micro there was quite well. The only thing I'm doing majorly wrong is staying in the vicinity to take shots from a fort. Logically, that is just silly. I don't, none of my, as I said earlier, I had the logic to leave or not siege him when I had this unit combination before, and now that there is a fort which has a significant amount of hit points and does 300 area damage, I don't know, some sort of damage attack. And right here, all the units, my units are all packed together, meaning when a cannonball lands on them, it all does area damage to all of the units in the little area where the cannonball lands. So really, my units should be spread out so they don't receive that area damage. And now I kind of come to my senses here, because I realise there's some skirmishes, and I'm thinking, right, I can't, well, at first I do another little tally and think, yeah, I'll just send my dragoons over there and take out the skirmishes. But I suppose I did have lancers there, and the lancers made a good job. I could have just sent the lancers without the dragoons, and really I should have just left the fort and not attacked. It's very, very odd that I stayed. I'm gonna just blame it on me, not being familiar with the game since I've been away for a while, and my judgment is a little bit skew-if. That's a very odd thing to say. Anyway, right here we've got my unit choice was mostly just whatever I had left, I guess. Can't really say much about unit choice once you've sent the first few shipments, because they do get really scarce, and you just... Anyway, I decided to stockpile 1,000 coin, you might have noticed, and then I put the Highlanders in queue, it's, which are now about to arrive. 1,000 coin worth, and they usually, I was expecting for them just to arrive and me to go back to the fort and kill it. Perhaps I should have just waited for them to arrive and then gone to the fort and tried to kill it, because the Highlanders have a significant siege damage, and they're basically musketeers. In fact, they are musketeers, but they have, they're miracle units in my opinion. So many hit points, so much high. Their AD, sorry, attack damage is just really... Yeah. Anyway, I think I've got this in mind right now, that these Highlanders, because they've done it before for me, they'll just make the game, and I'll just easily be able to kill out whatever he's got in the bag, and then just take out that fort and win the game that way. We look at scores. I'm 124, he's 98, so I'm still 125 points ahead, and I think, right, I should be able to win the game here. It should be okay. But he has Black Riders, which are basically dragoons. They're much faster. I'm not sure about range, but they've got a higher attack and more hit points. And perhaps I shouldn't have stayed. Perhaps I should have just walked back and massed skirmishes. I think really I should have just walked back and mashed skirms, because you know, like mercenary or not. You see, I had like 3 plus 12s come up there, and even more pluses. Like, I'm taking so many losses. I think going back, training skirmishes, thinking about that now, because obviously they're dragoons here. The skirmishes do bonus damage. Actually, they don't do bonus damage, not in the vanilla, but they are technically supposed to be good against. They counter. That is what their counter is. In the dynasties, they do and then they do counter damage. Or bonus damage, whatever you want to call it. Anyway, at this point in the game, I've lost my army. Really, that was a very cringy mistake. To anyone else who died inside, just thinking about it, I really shouldn't have done it. I should have just left and not wasted my army. Yeah. Well, anyway, at this point in the game, I've ran out of shipments to send, and I've decided to send the 5 settlers. I think I should have sent. Well, like. Okay, here it is. This is what I call all or nothing. Obviously, yeah, all or nothing basically means where it's either you just go flat out economy and hope, or you continue to just balance economy and military for your current needs, and then and just slowly lose because he's got a better eco or a better military than you. Obviously, at this point in the game, he's now ahead because he neutralized my army quite effectively with his mercenaries and took out a lot of my points. And obviously, when a unit dies, like if it's worth I don't know, like a lance is worth 200 resources, when it dies, you obviously then lose 2 points off your score because those 200 resources have gone forever, and that's why scores go up and down. Anyway, at this point, I think all or nothing, so I'm going to go flat out economy, and if he leaves me for a certain amount of time, then I can come back and win. Or start to be score ahead, because my score would be much higher than his once the resources start stacking up and I'm able to train units. But if I kind of went pure out military, I don't think I could win, because I think his military production would be harder than mine, and therefore yeah, he'd beat me that way. I think stopping military production and going flat out economy, double town center, and getting these upgrades would win it for me, but because I've been away for so long, I didn't get these, certainly the hunting dogs and the placer miners sooner. I really should have done, but didn't. Yeah, whatever. But I think it's just me not being familiar and not realizing. I did build a market, I just didn't get the upgrades, and really I should have these so much sooner than 20 minutes in. It's, yeah. Anyway, this all or nothing strategy. I'm going double settler. I should have sent the 1,000 wood actually, and then have 3 town centers. And the idea is if they leave you long enough, maybe 5 minutes or something, then you can start training a reasonable army and then defending. Maybe 5 minutes if there's huntables on the map. I'm used to playing maps like Great Plains. I just felt like a quick search, and I was surprised it actually worked. Actually, quick search doesn't normally work. But yeah, the reason what I'm saying is I now have to build like mills and plantations because there's no food left. Obviously there's fish. I should have thought about that. To be honest, I completely forgot fish existed. Again, me being unfamiliar, not being around much. So yeah, I feel sometimes the problem with video making for me is when I make video, I often start feeling quite insecure because so many of the higher levels comment and tell me that they're not very good, that I'm not very good at Age of Empires, that I don't play very well, or but to be honest, the community, I think before I left I was like in the top 200 active players, and I kind of started thinking to myself, well, it doesn't matter because this isn't a competitive game anymore. People don't, like, in the golden days when it came out, there were so many people, and being good probably meant that I'd have to be very good to make videos, and obviously I'm not so good. Anyway, if you enjoy my videos, please let me know, because it does make me want to make more of them. But when all the comments I get are just like, oh, you suck at Age of Empires, it is quite demoralizing, and I just don't want to make vids. Anyway, so obviously now I have to start building plantations because I can't access the coin mines because his units are too close. Anyway, should we start talking about Age of Empires again? Here I'm training 4 lancers, and when they arrive, I am going to use my skirmishes to send them up to this town centre and pop Minutemen from that town centre just before it dies. And that's where I'm going to make my last standoff, and after that I would normally resign if I had lost, or hopefully that would balance the game out. There's always these standoffs you kind of work up towards, and here I go, send the Minutemen, and this is where I culminate. And I tried to send Minutemen from my other town centre, but it doesn't work because I don't have enough coin, which I didn't really realise at the time. But yeah, I get these going, and I send them in and bring the Lancers back, because I'm like, oh shit, there's war wagons, and I want the Skirmishes to be closer. But I get these Lancers in as much as I can, press Alt, right-click on the Skirmishes, they start attacking Skirmishes, different Skirmishes, and they do a good job of killing them, but war wagons are just, they're sort of like big tanks that just soak up damage like sponges, and I don't have a sufficient amount of Skirmishes to protect my Lancers, or enough Lancers to really do any lasting effect on him. Yeah, I think what really determined the game was me losing them Falconets. If I'd kept them, then I could have like sieged him a bit, or at least if I'd been protecting them properly, I could have had my units on top of the Falconets, and then he would have had to send all of his cavalry there, and hopefully he'd lose. Maybe he'd get my cannons, but he'd also lose all of his army as well, and then I'd have my army left over, and maybe I could run around stopping his, killing off his settlers, or telling his settlers to get back inside the town centre. That's quite amusing. Sorry, this is like my cavalry running past, like, get back in the town centre. No, this is really gay. Anyway, yeah, like, I would attack the settlers and force them back into the town centre, is what I'm saying. Anyway, that didn't happen. I don't know, it's nice to speculate and think about what could have happened, I suppose. Anyway, right here I'm still thinking all or nothing. At this point I should have resigned, because it's getting a bit late and I'm running out of things to talk about, especially since okay, really, I'll tell you what was going on in the game. Like, literally this. I was just thinking, I don't know what to do now, so I'm just gonna try and do, useful things. Like those upgrades there, keep training settlers. And I trained the Cherokee trading post, because I remembered, it just came, it appeared in my mind that you could train Coeur de Bois from Cherokee trading posts. You get 5 of them, I think. Even before someone corrects me, and in Cherokee don't give you settlers at all. Anyway, Colonial Militia, there you go, I send that, I can talk about that. Yeah, I decide when I send that, I'll build another town centre, and I collect 800 food and 800 coin, and I'll send both the Minutemen's at one moment, and then I can have a shit ton of Minutemen when he's attacking me, and then I can, defend my base, and then hopefully my economy is bigger than his. I don't think it is. But then my army gets attacked on the way back after I was looking for settlers. And yeah, I just resign. I have a feeling this isn't the most interesting game, but this is the first game, and it is the one I'm uploading, so hey. I didn't even look at the graphs, so I can't even tell if my economy was bigger than his. Well, anyway, that's after this I kind of just thought, okay, I did enjoy the game, but I'm gonna stop playing right now.